life and business tips from this creative soul to inspire you on your journey, or at the very least provide you with some laughs. And so let's get real. Let's get real about those thoughts that just won't stop. And you're like, gosh almighty, I don't want to live like this. Meow.
Craving real advice? Tired of feeling like every other small business owner or solopreneur is raking in the dough while you just seem to be raking? Secretly looking for a reminder that starting your own business is not as glamorous as others make it look? Whether you're looking to change the game in your relationships at home or at the workplace, you've come to the right place. My name is Ray. I went from corporate America to running my own small business to becoming a solopreneur. I'm a professional actor and, dare we say, a professional busybody, because this body is about to be busy all up in your biz. So let's get real.
Okay. So you ever see the movie Shutter Island? All right. 2010. If you've never seen it, you're welcome to watch it and come back to this YouTube video. But you're probably not going to come back to this YouTube video after you see the movie. So all I will say is it's a really good movie. And if you get a chance to see it, then you should see it. And if you like suspense, thrill, and all that stuff. And if you have seen it, then you may not have given any thought to the ending. And if you've seen it and you have given thought to the ending, then all of this will be right up your alley. And so this movie, which you may or may not have seen, I am not giving any spoilers away here. No spoilers, not ruining anything for you at all. But I remember just thinking, oh, this is a great movie. I don't remember having like any deep thoughts afterwards. But there are online threads about, what does it all mean? And so, anyhow, we have these thoughts, these things that happen in life, these recurring thoughts. And one must ask themselves, hey, is there a conscious decision being made in order to stop these thoughts? Or is there no conscious decision being made and things are just playing out and people are making decisions for them? And so when I'm looking at my life, I've been kind of basically living out of a backpack for, 45 days now. Well, I recently picked up my car. And so I pulled some stuff out of storage, threw the backpack in the car, drove across country, and I'm on another house sit. So I am in someone else's house. That is not my map over there. But I was saying to myself today, oh my gosh, I feel so tired. I know I need to get back to clients and return phone calls and return emails and review projects and get this other stuff edited and online and finish creating these packages so I can sell them. And I need to 10x my income. There's just, the list is long, which totally sucks because honestly on this channel, like maybe 2 months ago, I was talking about, my to-do list, I'm checking things off. And I gotta tell you, when you have a major life event like, illness or loss of job or unexpected family member that needs your assistance, death in the family, or mold growing in your home so that you can't breathe and you have to suddenly leave your home. Yeah, these kinds of things can really mess up your flow, can kind of shake things up. And honestly, in life, sometimes we do need a shake up. We need to get out of that comfort zone and figure out, well, how would we handle this disaster, this crazy, crazy moment that is happening? How are we going to handle it? And in an ideal world, one has created backup plans and various contingency measures so that way when something doesn't go the way, when life is not going the way we expect it, like, hey, this is supposed to be our forever home, and then your forever home suddenly burns to the ground or something. I don't know, but you've got that insurance, or you have a little money saved so that way you can stay in an Airbnb, or you have a little money saved so you can stay at your friends, but at least you can help chip in for groceries and not just eat all of their yummy food. So in adulting, right, we have these little kind of backup plans, these little things that we create so that when things go bad, they don't totally devastate our lives. And yet, there are times in life when thoughts are just kind of, I'd say regurgitating, but that's the word I'm going to use. Like, it just keeps coming back up. These thoughts that keep recurring or regurgitating, and they then and of themselves become life disruptors. And how do you got to like create a backup plan for these life disruptors. And, recently a friend reached out, and she was not so happy with a recent family trip. And I was like, oh my gosh, it was so frustrating. And I was thinking, whoa, I totally hear what you're saying, because I also recently had a family trip where for a hot second I was going, whoa, this is frustrating. And I wanted to like call my therapist. I wanted to just be like, I can't take this anymore. Maybe I should not like socialize in this way for another year or two. I said, wait a minute. What is my expectation? Like, what do I want? And why am I here? Like, what was the whole purpose of me being here? Am I here for me, or am I here for them? Like, what's going on? Really? Right? It's one thing to say, oh, I'm here to spend time with you because you should want to spend time with me because that's what families are like. But is that my idea of family, or is that their idea of family? And so I really had to say, hey, I just want you to know I'm here because I want to be here with you, but I will spend time with you in whatever way you choose. So if you want me to be more like distant, if you want me to be sitting right next to you, you choose. I am just happy to be here. And I'm sure they thought, like, what is wrong with you, child? But I think they heard me, and I think they were okay with that. And I also think that maybe it took off some pressure. I may have been making them feel pressure to do things, enjoy things, spend time, just bond in a way that I thought they would want to bond. So anyway, I made a statement to kind of take the pressure off things, and we wanted to enjoy the rest of our time together. At least I hope we did. I think we did. But it really had me thinking, what is it that I'm expecting from my relationships, and the trauma that I'm going through, how much of it is just based off of my own, what is it? Projection. I almost said casting. I was like, forecasting? No, that's the weather. Okay, so my own projection onto the situation. And so I keep thinking like, oh, I remember those episodes of Full House or Friends where people got together and they did these things. And I don't know, Growing Pains, like all these shows where television writers showed the viewer what a kind of idyllic family life would be. So TV earlier in the age of like Sanford and Son and All in the Family, I think it's the one with Archie Bunker. We had these characters where you had like the grumpy old man. And then you had the young people who were trying to be more enlightened and say, hey, grumpy old man, stop being a grumpy old man. And people were just trying to kind of feel their way around. And then TV kind of moved away from the grumpy old man syndrome, and the wife who would kind of put up with everything. Even the Jeffersons, grumpy old man and the wife would put up with anything and everything. And we transitioned into this, okay, the idyllic family is not tolerating the grumpy old man in your life, but having these adult figures who wanted to talk things through and spend time together and bake together and all of these things. And I was asking myself, do I know anybody, or did I know anybody like that growing up? Crickets. Not to say that those families didn't exist. I just didn't have a circle of family friends whose lives were like that. And, some people say like attracts like. drama attracts drama, trauma attracts trauma. And so when I was younger, my friends were just, whoever's on the playground. You didn't really go to people's homes. When you were playing outside, you played with whoever was in the neighborhood. And if there was a birthday party, you went to wherever the birthday party was happening. It was sometimes in someone's backyard, but it wasn't like, I'm going to go a play date at Jessica's house and we're going to play in Jessica's house. Like, no, I never went on like a play date like that when I was a kid growing up. Like, that did not happen. And then when I was in middle school and high school, there were play dates of that nature where it was like, I'm going to want to go to Jessica's house. Mom, can you drive me to Jessica's house? Can I take the bus to Jessica's house? So then hanging out became more of going to someone's house. And you go to someone's room and like, I don't know, what do we do? We talk, right? Draw, play a game, play board games. Playing board games. Oh, it was so much fun. Maybe you watch TV, but it was really just like, I'm going to hang with my friend and I would rather like play games. Mind you, we did not have smartphones back then. I know, I'm a dinosaur. There wasn't any like, let's go online and surf for hours or anything like that. The internet existed, but we weren't trying to, I don't know, we just weren't. It just wasn't a thing. And I recently saw a little news clip about a group of high schoolers that since the pandemic have decided they're not going to have smartphones and they're not going to use social media. And every weekend they get together in the park and they talk and listen to music and oh, it's so wonderful. And they draw, do art. And I was like, so they do what kids should be doing, kids used to do. Like, it's not like they're over here weaving on looms and homespun yarn. Like, I found the news story to be a bit silly because I felt like, well, a lot of young people choose not to spend a lot of time on social media and do things with their friends that don't involve social media. But I also recognize that there are several young people who can't, like, if you took the phone from their hands, they feel like they would die, right? And so when I look back on the time that I spent with my friends growing up, I can't say that any of us in our homes reflected what we saw on TV. And that doesn't mean it didn't exist where I lived. Okay? It doesn't mean it didn't exist. It just wasn't a regular part of my life. And so now that I'm older, my friends are older, and I see how great they are with their kids and just how they're really making those TV lives for their families. And I also was listening to a podcast the other day talking about, so after helicopter parenting, I think it's called intensive parenting or something to this effect, where the parent is really heavily involved in, everything the kid does. The kid wants to watch TV. The parent should be right there watching the TV with the kid and then willing to discuss that TV episode afterwards. And for a second, I was like, yeah, that's a really good idea, because if there's these kids are watching TV shows that are supposed to help educate them. Like, I remember watching, I was watching like, I don't know, Full House or something. And honestly, I just keep coming to Full House and I'm like, what did I watch? I don't think I watched Full House that much. I know I didn't watch Moesha. There was something else that was on that I did watch, but it wasn't Moesha, so I don't remember what that was. Maybe that Urkel show. I forgot the name of it, but you might know it. I don't know, the Cosbys, right? Well, the Cosbys is really a show that the whole family would watch together. But if the child was sitting and watching a show by themselves, I don't know. Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Notice I am naming all American shows. There was no, like, I am so into Japanese anime right now. That was not happening for me. And when that became cool, I was like, nah, I'm still not interested. Because I was like, it's a cartoon. I know. You're probably a Japanese anime lover. You're like, what? Wait. I'm like, I'm sorry. It just felt like a cartoon, and I don't need my cartoons to be dark and like super crazy. And yeah, I need a happy ending and no gore. But anyway, moving on. I did not like the Sailor Moon. That was just not okay. Their voices were squeaky and annoying, and I didn't get it. But point being, if it wasn't a show that was designed for the whole family to watch, and I was watching by myself, a lot of times shows back in the day were supposed to give you some sort of moral lesson. They weren't just there to entertain you. Like, okay, I've only seen like a touch of Scandal. Right. But at the end of an episode of Scandal or Grey's Anatomy or Succession, I don't know, is Breaking Bad, The Big Bang Theory. I'm just going to list shows that people, the Game of Thrones, Rings of Power. I can just go on and on. How many of the shows have a moral embedded in, like a obvious, let's talk about it, life lesson moral per episode? I'm not talking about, oh, well, this person is really a very strong female character who doesn't put up with anything, is willing to fight towards the end, serve family. That's like an overarching storyline moral. I'm talking about end of episode moral. NCIS, CSI Miami. I used to love that CSI Miami. Oh my goodness, it was so funny. I was trying to explain to someone how CSI Miami really is an excellent show because it's humor. It's not intended to be taken completely seriously. If you watch interviews with the cast, they will say the same thing. And they're just like, what are you talking about? I found it so annoying because I thought it was serious. Like, no, of course not. I could probably do an entire video just dissecting CSI Miami. But anyway, we will not right now because we are talking about the idyllic lifestyle. And so given that today's shows don't really seem to have, a lot of shows don't seem to have a moral baked into the end. These shows are designed simply to be entertaining. That's it. And, you know, I'm now like thinking, like, when did TV shows go towards just being entertaining as opposed to helping us deal with life's bigger issues? Because even when we had the grumpy old man syndrome, the grumpy old man didn't understand the times were changing, but there was always someone in the room who did and could help the grumpy old man understand that. But I can't think of a single show. Maybe you know, drop in the comments below if you can think of an American show that is on TV today, not in reruns, not in syndication, that has a moral at the end of each episode. No overarching, but the end of each episode, a clear moral. Not where you have to like dig deep and die. What does that mean? I guess that show This Is Us. This was I don't know. I didn't watch that show. But there are people always like, oh my gosh, I watched it. It was so deep and I'm going to cry. So maybe that was a show, but it's not on anymore. And then the other show I can think of might be, The Good Place, but that show had philosophy baked into every episode. I'm not necessarily, I'm hesitant to say there was a moral at the end of every episode, but that's also not on anymore. So I don't know, people. Give me the name of a show. Why does this matter? Because when it comes to expectations of spending time with family or friends, I have this vision of what I think is the ideal way to spend time with someone that you don't see very often. But I don't think my vision actually matches the reality of how most people spend time together. Right? You know, I went online and did a search, and you could do the search too. Visiting family or visiting in-laws and only watching TV. Just look it up. You're going to find so many threads of people going, oh my goodness, I went over to see Nana and all we did was watch TV, blah, blah, blah. And like, is there something else we're supposed to be doing? I mean, if you think about it, if you're visiting for more than an hour, if you're visiting for like an hour or two, then you're probably social talking, right? If there's kids involved, maybe there's playing with the grandkids. But if you're visiting for more than 2 hours and there's no kids involved, maybe you're visiting for a couple of days. And when you're not there, if that person normally is watching TV and maybe doing a crossword, there's only so much they're going to feel they can talk to you about during your visit. And after a while, they're probably going to be like, I think I want to watch TV because I think we've talked about everything. Right? Like, I think we don't. Is there anything we haven't talked about? Because you've been here for like 3 hours now, right? So it just makes sense. And, you know, when I think about going on trips with family members, I haven't gone on a whole lot of trips with my family members. But the idea of, you know, people arguing and not getting along and this person doesn't want to do anything, all the stress that comes along with it. Is it stressful and annoying because the people aren't doing what we want them to do or what we thought we want them to do or how we thought they react, that they're not enjoying things the way that we had hoped? Or is it stressful and annoying because we feel like our contribution and efforts aren't valued? Right? So I know if I paid for a family member to go on a trip with me and then they just complain about everything the whole time, I would feel horrible. I'd be like, well, holy F, why are you here? Because I thought I was doing something nice, but apparently I feel like I'm just making you miserable. That wasn't my goal at all. I don't feel like my efforts are recognized and valued. And then that also kind of comes to, well, did I take their needs into consideration when planning this trip? Was it a trip that I already wanted to do? And I said, hey, I'm going to go to Waka Wooka Wooka. Would you like to come? I know you don't get to travel much, and I would love to take you if you want to come with me, right? And so if they were like, yes, I want to come, and I invited them to pick activities, and they said they don't want to participate or something, and then if I knew this up front, that's one thing. If we get to Waka Waka Wooka, and the first thing they do is complain about their hotel room, I would kind of be like, whoa, you know, like, I'm paying for everything and I've given you your own room. This is what worked for my budget, right? Like I took a family member to New York and they were complaining about the room right away. And the room wasn't the greatest, but I was kind of like, this is what's in my budget, you know? We don't really have much other choice right now. And I did take into consideration your needs. And I thought, you know, I had to make some decisions in terms of, well, if you need medical assistance, how fast can I get to you? Right? And so as opposed to having something that's a little nicer looking further away, I'd rather have something closer. So complaining the whole time ain't making me want to pay for anything else. Right? So there's that. Or is the person complaining because they have lack of control, because they know that you've paid for everything and they feel like, you know, sometimes we say things and do things not because we really are unhappy with those things, but because we feel powerless. So is someone complaining because they simply feel like they're upset that they couldn't contribute? That's a thing, right? I certainly had someone pay for a trip for me and felt terrible that things that I wanted to give, I just couldn't because I just didn't have any money. I remember my sister was kind enough to take us to Hawaii. She took me and her 2 daughters. And I think I purchased like Cheez-Its. And foods are expensive in Hawaii. And I also had like a lot of dietary issues. So I could not afford to eat the way I would have liked to have eaten. I could barely afford to eat. And, you know, her deal was, you know, get your plane ticket and I'll take care of the hotel room. Just get your plane ticket, right? And I think I shared a room with them. I think I slept like on a chair. now that I think about it, like I think there was like a little footstool and a chair that I remember like trying to scrunch up in. And I remember like scrounging up enough money in my bag to go buy some Cheez-Its, because everywhere I went, the food prices were insane and I couldn't eat any fast food. So I got like a box of Cheez-Its or something like that and took them at the hotel. And I was so excited to have these stupid Cheez-Its. And my nieces saw them, were like, oh, can we have some? And they finished my Cheez-Its. I was, in my heart, I was like crying. Not really because I didn't want them to have the Cheez-Its. I mean, I was hungry. But because I thought, oh my God, why did I come on this trip? This is such a beautiful place. They were so nice to invite me. I can't afford to do anything I want to do. And I can't afford to show my gratitude for their generosity and treat them to something. And so I'm frustrated that, you know, you're asking me how much to tip at the restaurant. And I'm thinking, well, should I even say anything? Because you're not even tipping anywhere near what I think would be appropriate. And I can't even add any extra money to the pot so that you can make what I feel would be an appropriate tip. And I don't want to sit here and watch you get upset with the kid for getting sand in their hair, because in my book, that's what kids do. You get sand in your hair. Like, you're at the beach. It's okay. And so I probably may not have seemed super grateful for this trip, but I was just frustrated in so many ways, not because there was a problem with the gifts given to me, but because I felt powerless in being able to make the experience part of what I wanted as well. And so these thoughts, they keep coming up, right? And these thoughts that keep coming up, they can just lead to outbursts and arguing with family members and friends, dissatisfaction at work, dissatisfaction just sitting in a room by yourself. I have, with the whole move, and I've just been so exhausted. And this is probably, well, gosh, I've been here 2 days, 3 days. So I drove my car cross country. So now for like the last 3 days or so, I have been in one spot. I have most of my belongings. I have most of my necessary belongings. I have all of my necessary belongings with me. Because there's still some stuff in storage in a completely different state. But I have the things that I need. And I just keep wanting to go to sleep. Oh my gosh. You know, it's 2:00 in the afternoon. I just want to take a nap. I don't want to sit here and get online and do work and do all my business stuff. I want to go take a walk, but I know I shouldn't go take a walk. I know I have work that needs to be done. And it's so quiet right now. I don't even want to do this work. I just want to go to sleep. And so my mind just keeps coming up with all these thoughts. And I start to beat myself up on, why aren't you getting stuff done? Why isn't this happening the way that it needs to happen? You said this is going to be the day you're going to get all this stuff done. You're not doing it. You know, you don't want to find another job, and yet by not doing the things you're supposed to do, you're forcing yourself to be in a position where you're going to have to go back to working for someone else. You don't want to do that. You know, you got to get your ish together, but you're so tired. And so all these thoughts are just like battling in my head over the last couple of days. And one thing I said to myself was, okay, you haven't had your vitamins in almost 2 months. Would getting your vitamins make a difference? Would that help your energy level? Like, clearly you're still adjusting to being settled. And I'm going to be in the same place for 3 weeks. Instead of having these outbursts, having these thoughts going through my mind and going, doctor, please make them stop. Oh my gosh, I can't take this. Maybe we can just find little moments of gratitude and just start somewhere. And maybe that, for me, that started to be, okay, so vitamins. Let's pull together a little bit of money so that we can get those vitamins and have the energy start to be grounded again. And as your energy is grounded again, start doing some of that work that is piled up. Definitely take a look at the stuff that is completely urgent, and your house will be on fire if you don't tackle it right away. Maybe the house is on fire. So get the bucket of water. Take the vitamin, get the bucket of water to douse the fire, then put the bucket over the fire so the flames are completely extinguished, because you don't want it to like flare back up. And, you know, as you put out one fire at a time, keep breathing. When one is going through it, right, there can be this tendency to keep running, keep fighting. You watch these shows where people are in battle. You know, you don't see the gladiator kill someone and then go, whoo, let me take a break here. I need a minute. I need a nap. No, they got to keep fighting until all of the dangers are gone. And that's how my life has been feeling. It's just that I'm in battle and I'm fighting till all the dangers are gone. But it doesn't really have to be that way, does it? Yeah. And I know I've talked about expectations in other videos. And I don't necessarily think that fighting is the direct result of unbalanced or unrealistic expectations. But I do think that the ability to have the argument stop, have the noise in one head stop, does relate to what little contingencies have been in place, and what grace is being given to oneself around the expectations that one has of themselves. Like, did I just say it all comes back to expectations? I may have just said that. I don't think that it's completely possible to live a conflict-free life, but we can live a happier life. And I think my life would be happier if those vitamins come a lot faster. No. Not necessarily the vitamins coming faster, but also just a matter of the accepting that things are not where I want them to be right now, and accepting that it's going to take a little longer for me to look on the other side and see the forest behind me and be like, yeah, I made it through that. And I think part of my issue is when I am in battle, there's this idea of if I just make it to the other side, if I just defeat this army, then I can have a moment to figure out whether or not I've won the war. Or that will feel like I've won the war, maybe. But I guess you don't really win the war until you're dead. I mean, I don't know. Is life just a series of battles? Well, is war always unhappy? I mean, when you're at war with yourself, that's interesting. Because I kind of feel like, well, life is a series of battles. But if life is a series of battles, then I don't think that one should go through life always fighting. That's not my feeling at all. I think life can be pretty happy for a lot of people. Like conflicts, reduced conflicts. I almost said conflict free, but very reduced conflicts. And so, now I feel like I need to double check the definition of war. Because it seems like one has won the war when one is dead, per se, right? That's when there's no more risk of an invasion or any kind of bad things happening because you're dead. But I don't know. What do you think? Maybe the war is not life in and of itself and is much smaller. Maybe winning the war is just achieving one's goals, checking those things off the list and feeling at peace. Maybe that's winning the war, is just feeling at peace, which in that case, I could probably win the war much sooner than I think. It doesn't have to be in a few weeks or months or years. I could probably win the war today by just taking a moment to figure out what would make me feel at peace. Aside from getting these vitamins in the mail, because I'm just feeling like, oh, I just want to sleep. So with a little bit of vitamin burst, woohoo, I can definitely, hopefully, possibly, maybe get more things done. Um, but yeah, as much as I love talking to a therapist, talking to friends, and all that stuff, it's really up to me to figure out how to quiet those voices in the head that make you go, ah, please make it stop. Oh. And just stop beating myself up and torture myself. So there's that. And so, my friend, what is the moral of this story? Just like a late 80s, early 90s sitcom, the moral is be kind to yourself and know that at the end of every storm, there will be a rainbow. Or at the end of every rainbow, there's a pot of gold. Or at the end of every pot of gold, there's a little leprechaun doing a little dance. I'm a little leprechaun. I live in leprechaun. So yeah, be kind to yourself and just know that you're going to go through it. You're going to go through it. It's going to be annoying. You want the voices to stop. You want the drama to stop. You want the fighting to stop. But maybe, like me, that idealistic life wasn't really something you were heavily exposed to. And that's okay too. Because you can still find ways to, create peace for yourself. So, with that being said, I hope you found this somewhat useful and helpful. I have certainly enjoyed making this video. Until next time, peace!
Thanks for listening. If you think this podcast would help a friend, then please feel free to share it with them. If you want to check out some more Real Ray or just see me hang out with cute dogs, then feel free to visit me over on YouTube. Get Real Ray 4273.